Good day, internet people. Lena here, and as we know, it's so close to being time for the first sneak peek of the V era for VBTO1 Unite Q4. So with that in mind, I decided to go through the entire set and have a look at what I thought would be the best picks for your sneak peek experience. Couple of rules here before we get started. Nothing double R or higher, because especially if you're drafting, if you pull something double R or higher, you're going to grab it and you're going to keep it because #value. Secondly, I've decided to go with no... I've basically decided to ignore any perfect guards because there are a couple in the rare slots, one for Oracles and one for Novas, both the grade 1 versions of the Kagero and Trial Deck equivalents. I'm ignoring those. Again, if it's a perf, chances are you're going to take it, so I'm ignoring them. And finally, I've decided that because we haven't been told about whether or not the gifts are being used in our respective sneak peeks, I'm not actually going to have any cards that give gifts, so no gifts. I'm working on the assumption that we won't be able to take advantage of gifts in our sneak peek experiences, so bear that in mind as I go through these cards. In the interest of fairness, I've decided to go with 1 rare and 2 commons for each clan in the set. This is a lot easier than the olden days when they used to throw in just random cards all over the place for different clans. Like, here's like 2 cards for Pale Moon, or here's like 1 card in the set for whoever. Yeah, I like this new version of things. It's a lot easier. So, with that in mind, let's begin. I'm going to start with Royal Paladins first, and to be fair, it was quite difficult because a lot of the really good cards for Royals, outside of the high rarity, are kind of in the trial deck. So a lot of things that, probably, to be fair, in this kind of format, I imagine something like Night Squire Allen is probably would have been a double R in the set. But anyways, very good card, by the way. And yeah, so picking the rare and the commons for the clan were a little bit more difficult than I expected. However, I have narrowed it down. My pick for best Royal Paladin rare in the set is Knight of Rose Morgana. Quite simply, your 8k grade 1, that you can sell +1 to give it plus 3k for each grade of your Vanguard when it attacks the Vanguard. So it swings for 8, if you Soul Blast it and you've got a grade 3 Vanguard, it gains +9, which is very nice. That means it swings for 17. Really annoying against the 12k Vanguards. And again, with a booster, that can easily hit 24, 25, so very nice. Soul Charging is the thing that I've tried to avoid in all these cards, as well as cards that draw cards, which is very difficult for me as an Oracle player. But anyways, yes, this is a good card. So this is my pick for rare in the Royals. Going over to the commons, the first of which I've picked is a grade 3, which is Gigantic Charger, or Gigantech Charger if you want to pronounce it weirdly. So this one is a grade 3, is a 13k, but when this unit or your other Vanguard is placed, it gets +10. And that works in the Vanguard or Rearguard, so I thought that'd be quite nice. It essentially is its own force gift when it's placed, or when you play another grade 3 down. So I think it's quite good for that. So it's like a force without force. That's my first pick for the commons. And the second is Lion Mane Stallion. So again, going with the grade 1s, this one is a 7k, and continuous rearguard ability. If you have 4 or more rearguards, it gets +3. It's a really simple 10k booster or attacker, so long as you can get enough rearguards on the field. All the other cards for Royals required either Soul Charging, which I wasn't a fan of because the decks will be quite small, and you kind of want to minimise the chances of losing cards via the Soul or by drawing them too much. Let's move on. Kagero now, and again, choices for this one were difficult. Again, a lot of the good cards are in the trial deck. In the end, I've plumped for Vortex Dragon, purely because its activated ability on the Vanguard Circle is really good at any point in the game. The Counterblast 2 just gets rid of a rearguard, so it's probably going to pick off an Interceptor at any time that you like. And then if you're on 5 damage, you can just, you know, if you feel like it's like an all or nothing turn, you may as well go for it, because if they've got a full field and you retire everything, he's going to gain +25k. That could be enough. So I feel like the kind of risk and reward of the second part of his main ability could just be enough there. But again, that Counterblast 2, anytime you like activated ability, once per turn, of course, I feel like that's quite versatile. It's a tempo swing in your favour, essentially. So that's where I've gone with that. And I did reference the second ability there, which is Vanguard or Rearguard. So it's quite nice if you get him on the side as well, that when you retire one of your opponent's rearguards during your turn, he gets +5k, which is quite nice. So again, power swings. I like the idea of the power and the kind of tempo he can provide wherever he's placed. So that's my pick for the rare there. Onto commons for Kagero now. Again, quite difficult. I've gone with Spillover Dragon as the first one, which is a 10k grade 2 that at the end of the battle it was boosted and attacked a Vanguard, again from the rear guard. You can counterblast one, put it in the soul and retire one of your opponent's grade 2 or less rear guards. Again, could be just enough if you're on a last turn push. It could be just enough if you've got enough other attacks coming that it could just help swing the game in your favour. So I've gone with that one. And the other common is Flame of Destruction Verbti. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've not been told otherwise. Again, a grade 2, but this one's a 9k. And this one works in the Vanguard or rearguard circle, which is quite nice. It's a counterblast 2. Choose one of your opponent's rearguards, retire it, and he gets +3. It's practically Berserk Dragon, but with a slight power increase. So it was good. Berserk Dragon was always good in the trial deck back in the day. I know he's getting reprinted as a higher rarity card now, but again, the chances are more likely that you'll see this card than you will Berserk Dragon. So, well, with it being a common, so I've gone for the retirement. I basically tried to go with what Kagero does best, which is retire your opponent's stuff. So that's what I've gone with. Nova Grapplers now, and I found it, again, this was actually more difficult because there were two very, very good options, and so I'm gonna have to cheat for them. So here we go. My joint pick here. One was Battledore Fighter, which is the grade 3, 12k. Vanguard Circle once per turn, counterblast 1, soul blast 1. Choose one of your units. During the battle that the unit attacked this turn, when the opponent calls a Guardian from his or her hand, he or she cannot call unless they call 2 or more cards at the same time, which gets more cards out of the hand. Very useful. Its other ability is Vanguard and Rearguard. When it attacks the Vanguard, if you have 3 or more Rearguards, it gets +5k. Quite good when it's a 12k by itself, so it'll go for 17 if you've got enough Rearguards. If you boost it up with a 7 or 8k, again 24, 25, good numbers, forces more cards out of the hand. And if it's on the Vanguard Circle, that's going to be 24, 25k, and they're going to have to drop at least 2 cards to guard it anyways. The other one was Burstriser. I think Burstriser's probably the better pick of the two. He's a grade 2, 9k. From the rearguard only though, when your Vanguard attacks, you can counterblast 1, soul blast 1 and stand this unit, and if the number of cards in your opponent's damage zone is 4 or more, it gets +3. It's a quite nice late game push. But either way, it will restand. So up to you on whether you want to activate, if you want to wait until the +3 to start activating that skill. I think this might be the slightly better option than Battledore, but it was very, very close, so I thought I mentioned both. For commons, the first one I've gone with is Jet Riser, which is a really simple card. Again, grade 1, 7k, and auto from the Vanguard or Rearguard. When your other Rearguard is placed, it gets +3k until the end of turn. Super simple. So, especially in the Rearguard, if your opponent's got a 13k Vanguard, you've only got to place 2 cards down on the Rearguard, and he can swing in for 13 and hit. Just by that, I think that might make it a good pick. The other option is a bit more of a trolly thing, because I know that there are people who will want to play the more kind of rush-orientated game, especially if they know that there's no worry about gifts, that sort of thing. It's Cat Butler. It was dumb. He was officially dumb as soon as the Legion series came out, and he's still dumb now, especially if you go for this kind of more rush-oriented play, because from the Rearguard, at the end of the battle, when your Vanguard's attack does not hit, you can counterblast 1 and retire it. Choose one of your units, give it +3k until the end of turn, and if it's a grade 2 or less Vanguard, you can stand it. It's going to swing. The Vanguard's going to swing twice. It can do its thing very well. We've always known that Cat Butler was dumb, again, especially since the Legion era proved it with that really horrible deck. You all know the one. And yeah, I think this could be a good one, especially for those who don't mind holding on to just sitting onto a grade 2 Vanguard and just trying to swing out that way. So that's my pick for the Novas. And finally, I've left my beloved Oracles until last, and it was actually very difficult to pick my rare pick for this one, but I've settled upon 2 because they both do the same thing. It's just whether you want the grade 2 or the grade 1 at the time. So it's Yellow Witch Meme and Farfal Magus. Purely because it's essentially Battle Sister Coco. You can just, when it's placed, look at the top card of the deck, put it on top or bottom of the deck. Being able to look through your deck and know what's coming up is extremely important. It's always been Oracle's thing, being able to kind of foresight, it's always been really, really good. So that was my pick for the rare. They're such simple cards, you know, you got a grade 2 9k and and an 8k grade 1. Either on that one. Common pick number 1 is Battle Maiden Sarasa, and that's a grade 3 12k. From the Vanguard or Rearguard, so whenever it attacks a Vanguard, you can look at the top card of your deck and put it on the top or bottom of your deck. And if you put it on the bottom, it gets +6 until the end of that battle. So it's really, really good. Again, looks through the top of the deck, gives you that foresight, especially if you attack with it first. If it's not a trigger, stick it to the bottom, give it the power. Good card for the common slot, I think, there. My other choice, and my final card of this particular video, is Battle Fairy. Grade 1, 8k. From the Rearguard, you can put it into the soul and look at the top card of your deck, and put it on the top or bottom of your deck. And if you put it on the bottom of your deck, one of your units gets +5k. So it's kind of similar to Sarasa, but in the form of a grade 1 that goes into the soul. I think this is a really nice little card. Again, if you're really not sure if the trigger is going to come up and you want to make sure, you can just pop this into the soul. It can fuel other abilities that your deck does, and if the card goes on the bottom of the deck, it gives you some more power to throw around. So it may be only 5k, but it could be enough. So that's made it my pick. I hope you've enjoyed this video and a little look at my personal choices for really good cards to have a look out for when you're doing your sneak peeks this weekend. Do by all means let us know how you get on in your sneak peeks. We will of course have our own sneak peek video. We'll have at least footage of both mine and Jess's packs as we open them. Unfortunately, we're not going to have a Mr. Ed there because he has some family commitments, which is a shame, but 2 out of 3 is not bad. And we'll let you know how we get on at our sneak peeks in our sneak peek report, so look forward to that. In the meantime, have a pleasant evening and see you later.